Alright guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to another video. We have the new EZAs just dropped today. We're going to be starting off with EZA AGL transforming Zamasu. We have him rainbowed, we have him level 10 links, he is ready to go. I've seen some things on Twitter and he's looking to be ridiculously good, and how well he can work with the new LR Fusion Zamasu makes this all the better. But do let me know your thoughts on him down in the comments. We are starting with a 334k attack stat, 173k defense. We're not really going to pay attention to this form too much because he only stays in base for literally a turn. You know, he has great transformation conditions. He will literally transform from turn 3, which means his second appearance, he's already transformed. We're starting with 3.5 mil, which, again, as I said, considering he's only in this form for one turn, doesn't really matter too much. Of course, if you do have dupes and him, things like that, you do kind of want him to hit an additional super because he does stack from base. So if he was to hit an additional super, you would get an extra stack in rather than just the once here, but he's going to be stacking the entire time anyway, so it doesn't actually really matter too much. And then has attack and defense plus 140. Extreme class allies get that key plus 2, which is really nice. Would it have been a little bit sweeter if there was some attack and defense in there? Yeah, 100%. But still, the extra key is nice. Kind of tying the team together, which he will retain throughout his transformations. He has that 40% damage reduction. So even in base, he's going to be able to keep himself kind of safe and kind of have some coverage for that literal single turn before he transforms, which I do like a lot. He'll recover 10% HP at the start of turn, recovers 20% HP at the end of turn, and then he just transforms. But as I said, we're not really going to pay too much attention to the base because he literally is only in this form for one turn and one turn only. But as I said, considering you're only in this for one turn, that 40% damage reduction, as I said, and that defense at the start of turn and a potential stack or two is going to give him that coverage before you do transform him. So early on in like difficult content, he is going to be able to be okay before he kind of gets going. You know how some units, you know, pre-transformation, even take the new Goku and Vegeta, you're kind of like, once that guard's gone, things can get a little bit, you know, sticky. I need him to transform, whereas Zamasu basically has that. And this is where stuff gets juicy. So he is actually perfectly linked up with this Goku Black, but Vegeta's almost dead, so I'm just going to leave him in slot 1. And this is what I mean, links almost perfectly, aside from Fear and Faith, with the new LR Fusion Zamasu. So now that he's transformed, we're on 465k attack stat, we're on 305k defense. Bearing in mind, we supered once, so we've stacked once. Now he stacks attack and defense now that he's transformed. So as long as you keep him in this, before you, like, because remember, his next transformation is an active skill before he becomes corrupt. As long as you keep him in here, he's going to continuously get stronger and stronger and stronger. And off of one super attack, he has 305k defense with 50% damage reduction. So even though he is barely stacked whatsoever, literally once, he has enough defense with all that damage reduction to cover him while he's building up and continuously getting stronger. And we're already starting with a 7.37 million attack stat. That's wild. Also, his attack stat has jumped up a lot. We've jumped up by like a whole 4 mil. But already on 7.3 mil, and that's another stack of attack and defense. As I said, that's literally only just the beginning. That is only the beginning of this guy, which is insane. Of course, as I said, he does retain the extreme class allies get key plus 2. Now his 40% damage reductions up to 50, which is great. As I said, this is going to cover him really well in difficult content while you're stacking him up. He then gets an additional attack plus 50% on super. He will launch an additional super attack within the same turn after receiving an attack. Do you know what? I would actually say this guy could probably go in slot 1. You know, maybe not immediately in some events. You know, maybe not against the Shadow Dragon event. Maybe not against the new Rose in Red Zone. But after like a couple stacks, you could probably put him in slot 1. But by the way his kit is, by getting that additional super after getting hit, it kind of wants you to put him in there. Because that's a guaranteed additional. That's not a chance. That's a guaranteed additional. So that's guaranteed 2 stacks as long as you're hit before he supers. So you do kind of want to put him in slot 1. Which obviously here we're going to do. So again, we've only supered once while being in this form. We've already jumped up to 558k attack stat, 352k defense. Again, we have the 50% damage reduction on top of that. So a lot of the majority of the stages where like you're early on, Zamasu could actually go in slot 1 and literally probably be fine. We're up to 7.5 mil or 7.58. This is another stack for us. And we've been hit, which means we get the guaranteed additional, which means a guaranteed stack. We're up to 7.79. Defense is probably like 400k right now, again with 50% damage reduction. And not only that as well, he does retain his HP recovery, recovering 10% HP when HP is 90% or less, which is literally the majority of time. And he recovered 10% HP at the end of every turn. Or at the end of turn, every time the character receives attack 5 or more times in battle, which is nice. All this healing, and I said this before, all this healing with like, say, EZA, Rose, and Zamasu, with AGL, Zamasu, all this healing's good. Like, it's good. You know, especially where you're limited with items and such. But the one thing where all this healing is going to kind of be a contradiction and a double-edged sword is when you're trying to get the LR Tech Fusion Zamasu's domain out. When you're trying to get him transformed into the domain, into Infinite Zamasu, all this healing is going to kind of go against you trying to pull that out. So it might make it slightly difficult or a little bit more difficult to get the domain out. But I do have to say, on the other hand, the healing is quite nice. It's not the most, but as I said, it would contradict trying to get Infinite Zamasu out. Not to mention as well, while you have AGL mode Zamasu out, with the domain out, with all the support and the extra defense, AGL Zamasu will probably end up be cooking. Like, he would cook. Like, absolutely cook with the domain out. So, right now, we're up to a 744k attack stat, 446k defense, so even more than I thought. What's Fear and Faith giving us? Fear and Faith, I'm not actually sure. What is Fear and Faith actually giving us? Fear and Faith is giving us... Oh, it's only giving us key. We don't even need that linked up. So we're actually just going to leave him in slot 1 again. We're going to be hit, which means we guarantees ourselves an additional. And it means we guarantees ourselves an extra stack. See, this is your best bet. And I mean, it applies to both these days. We're up to 8 mil. Don't forget, we've got a second following up. We haven't actually hit any additional supers from the potential system yet because we've been doing too much damage. So in like a red zone, in like a Shadow Dragon event, we could potentially super attack 3 times. Not twice, 3. Which of course means 3 potential stacks in 1 turn. Big 5.5 mil crit. There's another one. 8.425 we're up to. I do think once you get Infinite Zamasu out and the LR Tech Fusion Zamasu, EZA Fusion Zamasu is probably untouchable. I can't lie. Because imagine all that support, all the extra defense. Infinite Zamasu literally cannot be hurt while you're in it for 5 turns. He can't be touched. And then EZA AGL Zamasu has all the support while he's continuously stacking with 50% damage reduction. And not only that, Infinite Zamasu is gonna back up. If you decide to use AGL Zamasu's active, it's going to back his active quite a lot. Like, I know a lot of people probably will avoid using it, which is not a bad idea. It's fine because, you know, as I already said, you retain that 50% damage reduction. You continuously stack while you keep him as Fusion Zamasu. And then when you pop his active to get Corrupt Zamasu out, you're mainly going for the kill shot. You mainly only want to get that guy out when you're going for the kill shot, when you're going for the big damage to end off the event. Because you lose the majority of your damage reduction, you go down to 30% and you're hyper focused on damage. But if you have Infinite Zamasu out with him, not only will you have some decent defense and you'll get an extra defense plus 50% on super for 3 turns. But then again, as I said, the domain with the support will kind of cover him a bit while he can just kind of do ridiculous amounts of damage. So that is something I do want to give a go. I think people are really going to overlook his active skill just because, as I said, you lose the damage reduction. You're continuously stacking in this form right now. Whereas, of course, the active is hyper focused on damage. And you do probably only want to put it out when it's late. Or later on in an event. But I think it's something that will be worth getting out. As I said, if you have Infinite Zamasu's domain active. They're up to over 1 million attack stat run, almost 600k defense. And I'm just thinking, if we ever get like proper longer form difficult content, kind of like this in the GT Goku event, like an updated version, a unit like this, which continuously stacks, the same can be applied for Trunks as well, would honestly be cooking so much, because you have so much time to stack, so much time to build up. We're up to 8.84. Can we get the additional super from the potential system to get another stack in? Hopefully. We don't. I mean, we're getting super, not that it matters. Because again, while stacking units take time, and yes, there's a guaranteed additional in there, but it's not like we're super attacking like 4, 5, 6 times. It's maximum 3 if you have dupes. But this is like, as I said, you're stacking, and we have like, what, 600k defense with 50% damage reduction right now. So most attacks in the game are hardly phasing this Zamasu whatsoever. But next time we come around, I don't think we have the HP threshold for it yet, but if we do, I want to pop one of the domains, and I want to get EZA AGL Zamasu transformed. Actually, no, we're definitely going to have it now. Oh, this is an active we ain't seen in a while, but the video ain't about him. We're going to get the domain active. We're going to get the support on go. Boom, domain active. I still love this, man. Honestly, I really do. I really do. Like, honestly, I actually just, I love it so much. I know it's just a simple thing like changing a background, but I really do love it. It just looks so good. Right, we're going to ignore the Dokkan attack. And then next turn, without the domain, we are going to pop the active skill and get Corrupt Zamasu out, where we're going to be hyper focused on damage. So before we do that, what are we up to? We're up to 1.2 million in attack, 681k defense. Actually, I just remember the animations aren't actually on. This is something I haven't seen in a while.
Light and justice strike me! Oh, weak god incapable of wiping out evil is worthless!
Alright, we got beaten Schmeat Zamasu out. We do, of course, lose a lot of damage reduction. I mean, I say we lose a lot. Don't forget, we would have been stacking the entire time. A lot of these enemies have beefier health bars. Yes, the content isn't as long, but like, there are beefy health bars, a lot of damage reduction. So you can still stack a lot. We only go down to 30% damage reduction. It's not 50, but it's only gone down to 30. And now we're hyper focused on damage. Now we've got ki plus 6, attack plus 300%, defense plus 100%, damage reduction of 30%, the additional attack plus 50%, and a 50% chance for a critical hit when attacking. Don't forget as well, as I said, this form is hyper focused on damage, but this form has a built-in 50% chance to crit with all that hyper focus on damage, which means the amount of damage this Zamasu can do is pretty stupid when you consider half the time he may be able to crit, while he's also been getting stronger and stronger and stronger throughout the entire event while he's been stacking. 16.1 million on super with a 50% chance to crit is actually ridiculous. Damn. That's a lot of damage. Not only that as well, he will launch an additional super attack every time the character attacks 2 or more times in battle, which is where the additional super can come in during the potential system. You'll then get an additional defense plus 50% when performing a super attack for 3 turns from the start of turn. Disables enemy guard like before, and superclass enemies have minus attack plus 10%, which doesn't really matter because all the difficult content contains extreme class enemies, and we only got to see him once because we decided to hit over an 11 million crit, followed by Tech Allow Zamasu doing ridiculous amounts of damage. Honestly, he's ridiculous. Dare I say, actually I think I might say it, this guy generally might be the best EZA in the game right now. He works with one of the best units in the game incredibly well. They link up very well. And especially with the domain, I don't think the rotation can get that much better. I mean, aside from specifically for myself getting dupes in Tech Allow Zamasu, that's about it. I generally believe he's probably one of the best EZAs in the game right now. Like, he has everything going for him. Like, he loses the support on the active, but he stacks the entire time. He has support, 50% damage reduction, as I said, links almost perfectly with Tech LR Fusion Zamasu. And then once you transform him, you're putting out 16 million attack stats. And as I said, if you pop the domain and get the support, along with 30% damage reduction with like 500-600k plus defense, 16 mil attack stats, while having 500-600k defense with 30% damage reduction, and the domain support of what, 60% defense from Infinite Zamasu, it's worth popping the active. Like, yeah, you can keep this form out for as long as possible and then just you pop the active when you want to end the event and do big amounts of damage. But once you get his defense like a decent point, it's worth transforming him, or at least when you're about to pop the domain, because as I said, the trade-off to get that amount of damage out is worth it, and he'll be fine, especially if you use an item. But even without it, he should be fine to hold his own. But yeah, I think I'm going to say it. He's currently the best EZA in the game, but you're going to have to let me know your thoughts down in the comments. And I'll see you in the next video, guys. Take care, have a good rest of your day, and peace.